Our story begins a very long time ago, around 6.4 million years in the past. This was a time we now call the Stone Age. It was a world untouched by modern things like cities or roads. The land was wild and vast, covered in endless forests and wide, grassy plains. Huge trees reached for the sky, their leaves forming a thick green roof over the earth. Tall grasses swayed in the gentle wind, hiding small animals and insects. Rivers flowed like blue ribbons through the landscape, providing clean water for all living things. The air was fresh and clean, filled with the sounds of nature. It was a simple yet challenging time to be alive. Life for the small groups of early humans was a constant rhythm of survival. They did not live in houses but found shelter in natural places. Caves offered protection from the rain and the cold night air. Sometimes a large rock overhang was enough to keep them safe. Each day was about finding food and staying safe from danger. The group moved together, following the seasons and the animals they hunted. They knew the land very well. They knew which plants were good to eat and which were not. They understood the habits of the animals, big and small. Life was a journey, and they walked it together, step by step. The world was full of creatures, many much larger and stronger than the early humans. Giant mammals roamed the plains, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. In the trees, birds with bright feathers sang their songs from dawn until dusk. But there were also great dangers. Large predators with sharp teeth and claws were always a threat. These early humans had to be alert at all times. They learned to work as a team, using their intelligence to overcome their physical weaknesses. Their survival depended not on their strength alone, but on their ability to cooperate and protect one another from the many perils of their world. The tools they used were simple yet effective for their needs. They did not have metal or plastic. Instead, they used what nature provided. They picked up hard stones and shaped them by hitting them against other stones. This created sharp edges that could be used for many tasks. Media group. Close-up of sharp stone tools, variety of prehistoric stone implements at its stock, distribute equally. A sharp stone could cut meat from a bone. It could be used to scrape animal hides to make simple coverings. They also used wood to make tools. Media group. Making wooden tools from branches, carving wood with stone implement at its stock distribute equally. A strong branch could become a digging stick to find roots underground. A long straight piece of wood could become a spear for hunting or defense. These simple inventions were the key to their existence. In these small groups, every person had a role to play. The men often went out on long hunts. They would track animals for many miles, working together to bring down a large catch. This was dangerous work that required great skill and courage. The women were often closer to the camp. They were the gatherers, searching the land for edible plants, fruits, nuts, and berries. They had a deep knowledge of the local flora. They knew which mushrooms were safe and which roots were nutritious. They also cared for the young children, teaching them the ways of the group and keeping them safe from harm. The family was the heart of the group. But family was not just a mother, a father, and their children. The whole group was like a large, extended family. Everyone was connected. They shared their food, their tools, and their knowledge. When one person was hurt, others would care for them. When one person was happy, the joy was shared by all. This strong bond was their greatest strength. It allowed them to face the challenges of their world together. They depended on each other completely. An individual alone would not survive for long, but as a group, they could thrive. Life was a continuous cycle of seasons and events. The group followed the patterns of nature. They knew when the berries would be ripe on the bushes. They knew when the herds of animals would migrate through their territory. Their lives were tied to the rising and setting of the sun. The daytime was for work, for hunting and gathering. The nighttime was for rest and safety within the shelter of their camp. They would gather around a fire if they had one, sharing stories through simple sounds and gestures. The fire provided warmth, light, and protection from nocturnal predators. The birth of a new child was the most important event in the life of the group. In a world full of dangers, where life could be short, a new baby was a sign of continuity. It meant the group would not die out. It was a promise that their knowledge and their way of life would be passed on to a new generation. Every member of the group felt a sense of responsibility for the newborn. The baby did not belong only to its mother and father, it belonged to everyone. Its arrival brought a wave of shared happiness, and a renewed sense of purpose to the entire community. Inside a sheltered part of the cave, away from the wind, a young woman named Una was about to give birth. The air was thick with anticipation. Other women from the group stayed close to her. An older woman, the most experienced mother in the community, was by her side. She spoke to Una in soft, reassuring grunts and sounds. She gently wiped Una's forehead with a cool, damp piece of moss. There were no doctors or medicines. There was only the collected wisdom passed down through countless generations. The men and older children stayed outside the birthing area, keeping watch and maintaining a respectful quiet. The process of birth was a natural, powerful event. The women assisting knew what to do. They had seen it many times before. They provided comfort and support, helping Una through the pain and effort. They created a soft bed of dried grasses and animal furs for her to lie on. The cave was their safe space, a fortress of stone that protected them from the wild world outside. The low light from a small, smoky fire cast long, dancing shadows on the rock walls. The only sounds were Una's heavy breathing and the quiet, encouraging murmurs from the women around her. Everyone waited for the new life to arrive. Then, a new sound filled the cave. It was a small but strong cry. The baby was born. The older woman carefully cleaned the newborn with soft furs and checked that it was healthy. She then placed the tiny baby into Una's waiting arms. Una looked down at her child, a wave of relief and deep love washing over her. The other women smiled, their faces showing their shared joy. This single moment was a victory for the entire group. It was a triumph over the constant struggle for survival. A new member had joined their family, and with this new life came a powerful sense of hope. The news of the healthy birth spread quickly through the small camp. The father, a strong hunter named Kale, came to the entrance of the birthing space. He looked at his partner and their new child with pride and tenderness. The other members of the group came to see the baby, one by one. They brought small gifts. One brought a smooth, polished stone. Another brought a soft piece of fur. These were not valuable items, but they were gestures of welcome and support. The baby was now part of their circle, and everyone pledged to protect and care for it as it grew. The arrival of the baby changed the rhythm of the group. There was a new focus, a new center of attention. Una would spend her days caring for the infant, keeping it warm and fed. She would carry the baby in a simple sling made from animal hide, allowing her to keep her hands free for other tasks. The other women would help her, bringing her food and water and watching the baby while she rested. The men took their role as protectors even more seriously. They made sure the camp was secure and hunted with renewed determination to provide enough food for the new mother and her child. This collective effort was essential. A mother and a baby were vulnerable. They needed the support of the entire community to survive. The group understood this instinctively. Protecting the youngest members was the best way to ensure the future of their family line. The children were the ones who would grow up to become the next hunters, gatherers, and toolmakers. They would learn the stories, the skills, and the traditions of their elders. The baby's cry was a constant reminder of what they were all working for, not just to live through the day, but to create a future. Food was a constant concern, and the group worked together to find enough for everyone. They ate a varied diet. The hunters brought back meat from animals like deer or wild boar. The gatherers provided a steady supply of plants. They ate wild berries, crunchy nuts, and starchy roots they dug from the ground. They also collected insects and bird eggs. Nothing was wasted. Every part of an animal was used, from the meat for food, to the hide for clothing, and the bones for tools. This resourceful way of life allowed them to adapt and thrive in their environment. The birth of Una's baby was more than just the addition of one more person. It was a powerful symbol of life's strength and resilience. In a world filled with hardship, this small, helpless infant represented hope. It was a sign that their group was strong and would continue. The baby's presence strengthened the bonds between every member. It gave them a shared purpose and a reason to look forward to the future. Every new child was a precious link in the long, unbroken chain of humanity, stretching back into the deep past and reaching forward into the unknown tomorrow.